Hi, my Melanin Beauties, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I wanted to talk about how to handle rejection. And I'm not going to hit you with the whole rejection is redirection talking point, because I know that can be a little cliche and it doesn't necessarily make you feel better. And trust me, I do want to let you know everyone has been rejected at some point in time in life, whether it was through friendships, whether it was relationships, whether it was job opportunities, whether it was trying to make a sports team and you didn't get it. Like, there's so many things that people have been rejected from in life, and it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. But I think the reason why I used to struggle with rejection a lot, and maybe why you struggle with it too, is because you don't have an internal locus of control, meaning that you don't have anything, or you don't have a lot of things that you do every single day that affirm who you are for yourself. So maybe you have goals and things that you want to accomplish, like maybe you want to be a content creator, but you're not actively working on those things. It's just kind of like an idea that you have, but you're not showing up every day, or at least every other day, working on it, right? You never keep the promises that you make to yourself. Maybe you want to lose weight. It's something that you know you need to do. Like, maybe you know you need to lose those 50 pounds. You've been holding on to that weight for some years, but you haven't done it yet. It's like every time it's time for you to show up for yourself, you're not. And so over time, that kind of erodes your confidence. And so you take rejection so much harder than it needs to be, but that's because you haven't affirmed yourself. You haven't proven to yourself that you are the SHIT, right? And I used to struggle with this. Like, if women I tried to be friends with were acting shady towards me in my younger years, I would take it so personally. I'd be like, oh my God, why don't they want to be my friend? Or why are they treating me like this? But in reality, the reason why I was so pressed about being rejected by this certain group of females or whatever is because I wasn't really actively working on any of the goals that I had for myself. I wanted to start a business. There was no business. I wanted to lose weight. There was no weight loss. I wanted to go back to school and get a master's degree. That wasn't taking place. I wanted to try to apply for a new job because I hated my job and I wasn't doing that. Like, I had nothing in my life that I was actively working towards. And so rejection just hits a lot harder because of that. But now that I'm older, now that I've, worked on myself, I make goals and I actually achieve them, I don't take rejection personally because I'm too focused in my own thing and what I have going on to really feel that deeply about whoever rejected me. And a lot of times, I would probably say all the time, you reflect back on the times you were quote unquote rejected, whether it was from friends, relationships, it always was for the best. I remember when I first graduated college, I had got my first full-time job. Now, this was not the job that I had that I absolutely hated and led to me quitting and starting my business, but this was a full-time job, my first full-time job, right? And they were paying me $9.50, and I was like a patient transporter. And so I was so excited about getting the job because of the fact that it was like my first full-time job, and making $9.50 back then was a lot for me because I came from fast food. Like, I used to work all types of fast food jobs. I've worked McDonald's, Burger King, Hardee's, Chick-fil-A. I've worked at, did I say Wendy's? I've worked at retail. I worked at Kohl's. I've worked in grocery stores. I used to work at Martin's, which is now Publix. I worked so many places, and all of those places that I worked at were only paying me like minimum wage, which back then was $7.25, right? This was back in, I graduated college in 2013. So yeah, 2013, 2014, somewhere up in there. And so when I got this first full-time job, I was so excited. It was at a hospital, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm about to make it $9.50. Like, what? Like, it was a come up for me. And like all jobs, you're excited when you first start, but after a few weeks, you're kind of like, fuck this shit, right? And so, I was still doing it because it was more than I had made, just a couple dollars more, and they were giving me like health insurance, and I had PTO, like just all the benefits of a full-time job. And I knew that having that job was going to give me entry into a different department in the hospital. So you know how like when you work jobs, like a lot of times if other departments are hiring, they first want to try to give the job to people who might work in the company, but just in a different department. That's kind of how I looked at the patient transporting job. I was like, okay, well, even though I don't want to be transporting people throughout the hospital all day for the rest of my life, at least it gave me gateway into getting into another department, right? So that was like the pro for me. So, but with working at the hospital, you can't transfer to another department until you've been there for a year. Like that's the stipulation. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to thug it out for the year. I'm just going to do this patient transportation job. And then once my year mark hits, I will start trying to find another job within the hospital, but it's a different department, right? And so it wasn't all bad. Like, you know, the people I worked with were pretty cool. Like we used to have good times, laugh and joke and stuff. So it wasn't a horrible job, but I was on my feet all day. Like I was getting them steps in, honey. Like, and then like pushing certain people, like some people would be like extremely big. So, you know, it was just very physically strenuous, and it was annoying because depending on what shift you worked, I was days. So I was working 7 a.m. to 3. That's when most people need to be pushed around because they have like testing the doctors want to do. You got to take them to like x-rays and endoscopies and all this stuff. So I was on my feet like all day, every day. But it was cool. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just deal with it. So once the year mark hit, I was like, all right, cool. Now I can start transferring to different departments. I would get on their website and see what was available to apply for. And so I had came across this one job that I qualified for. It was kind of like, I think, an endoscopy tech or something like that. I don't recall if you needed a degree. You definitely didn't need a degree in the patient transportation job. You didn't need that. And I think the only reason why I got that patient transportation job in the first place is because I knew somebody. And then they had put in a word for me. So that's how that worked, right? But now I'm looking for jobs on the site within the hospital, trying to find a new job to get at. And I saw this endoscopy tech because that's what it was. I had got used to working days, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to keep days. Like days is lit for me. So I had put in for this endoscopy tech job. And I had also put in because I had, you know, made acquaintances with the charge nurse. So I was like, she had told me that they were going to open up the position and I should apply. So I was like, all right, cool. So I saw her and she was like, oh, we put the position up on the website. Make sure you apply so I can get you an interview. I was like, yes. Like, so I'm thinking to myself, I already have it in the bag. Like, this job is mine. Like, I'm so excited about this. Now, I didn't know how much it was paying because with all of the jobs, they didn't post the salary range, like, at all. But I assumed it was going to be more than $9.50, right? So I assumed that much. So anyways, I put in for the job and she followed through. She had called me and was trying to set up a interview for me. And I told her my schedule and she was like, okay, well, how about you just swing by or swing up here after you get off work? So in my head, I'm like, dang, I don't have to get dressed up. Like, hell yeah. So I was like, cool. So I'm in my patient transportation scrubs. So anyways, it was time for the interview. I clocked out of patient transport and I went upstairs for my endoscopy tech interview, and everything went smoothly. Like, she was just asking like what my goals are. And at the time I was considering going back to school to be a nurse. Like, listen, I had already got my bachelor's in biology. And so then I'm like, well, I work in a hospital. I know these RNs, these BSNs are making a shit ton of money. So I'm going to just do that, right? That was the direction I was going in at the time. And so she was like, okay, like just trying to figure out what it is I want to do. And she said she supports her team going back to college. And plus in the hospital, because it was a teaching hospital, if you went to the school, like let's say you were a student, they would pay 100% of the tuition. That was one of the coolest benefits of working in this hospital because it was a teaching hospital. So they had a university associated with it. So if you were in a degree program with the school, the hospital would pay 100% of your tuition. So that was another incentive for me to go to the nursing school. But she was saying that was going to conflict because the endoscopy tech position was during the day. It was day shift. And the nursing program through the university was also during days. So she was like, if you did want to go to nursing school, you wouldn't be able to go to nursing school through the university because they only do days. Like the time schedule would conflict. And so she was like, you probably have to, do the other option where the department will pay 50% of your tuition. So you'd have to take out 50% of student loans, and then they cover the other 50%. But I didn't even care. Like I was just ready to get out of patient transport. I'm like, whatever, cool. So we went through the interview. Everything seemed cool. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, like everything was cool. Like I really feel like I'm going to get this job. And then she did tell me how much, or the range. So the pay range was $13.50 all the way up to like $30 and some change. But we all know, like with the ranges like that, the people who are making the top of the range, these are people who have been there for like 20 plus years. These are your leads, your supervisors. They don't really start people off at the top range, right? Like we all know that. Most of the time when you're starting off, you are on the lower end of that. Right. But again, $13.50 is more than I was making a patient transport. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll take it. So a couple weeks went by and I didn't hear anything back. And normally, even if you don't get the job, they would still email you and say, we decided to pursue other applicants. But I didn't even get that email. So I'm like, maybe she's still interviewing. What's going on? So I went up there just to check in and see. I went on like my lunch break or whatever, just to see what's going on. And she was like, oh, yes, Jasmine, I was going to email you. So we actually decided to go with somebody else because she didn't want to go to school. Like she was just happy learning about and being an endoscopy tech. And I know you said you wanted to go back to nursing school. And I just didn't want it to get in the way of that and you being able to use 100% of the hospital paying for your nursing school. So, I played cool. I was like, okay, I understand. And then once I left, I went to the bathroom and cried. Like I was devastated. I was so upset because I was like, dang, like I really wanted that job. Like I thought I had it in the bag. Like I thought that job was mine. I should have never told this lady I wanted to go to nursing school. Like I was so mad. And the crazy thing is like going from $9.50 to $13, like girl, you still gonna be broke as hell. But it was just the principle. Like I was just so mad and I was devastated. I was like, damn, like why did I tell her I wanted to go to nursing school? I was so mad about telling her that, but I guess I just felt like comfortable. I don't know why I told her that, but I was devastated, right? I was so upset. So once I dried my eyes, got myself back together, I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to go back on this website and see what other departments in the hospital are hiring. So I went back on there and I saw something and it was a lab tech, but they weren't calling it a lab tech. They were calling it like a transplant lab tech, whatever. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I open it up and they're talking about what they're doing. They run in tests for cross-matching, which is just trying to see if someone is compatible for a heart transplant, a kidney transplant, liver transplant, whatever. So I'm like, what is this? But the requirement was a bachelor's degree in biology. I was like, yo, that's me right there. Perfect. And they had the salary range. Yo, I was like, what? My jaw dropped. That position said starting at $20 an hour. That's all I knew. I said, let me go home and apply to this shit. So as soon as I got home, I applied. I kid you not, a week later, they called me in for an interview. I was so excited. I was like, yo, $20 an hour. Like I'm about to be rich as hell. And mind you, I was 23. So like I'm 23. I'm only a year out of college. Like I'm thinking I'm about to be rich. Like this is going to be lit. And it was days. So it was days, holidays off, weekends off. What else could I ask for? So I go into the interview. I'm, happy and excited. And they were telling me that they prefer to hire people who are fresh out of college because this is the type of department where people don't leave, like people retire there. And so I'm like, cool, this is me. Like, I am a shoo-in for this job, like a biology degree. I'm young. I ain't going nowhere. Y'all said $20 an hour. Let's go. Let's go. So I'm so excited. The energy was great. It's a very small department. It was all women that work there. So that was like red flag number one. But I didn't care. I was just ready to get out of this patient transportation job. So anyways, the interview went great. She told me they still had a few more people to hire, or excuse me, a few more people to interview, but they would let me know within a week what they decided to do. So I was like, all right, cool. So a week went by, I didn't hear from them. I was like, dang. So I called just to check in. They were like, oh, we're still interviewing people. The interview process took longer than we had expected, but we'll call you. So I'm like, all right, cool, playing it cool. I couldn't hold it anymore. A few days later, I called again, and it was the same supervisor. She was like, Jasmine. She's like, Jasmine, we'll call you. Everything got pushed back. We didn't forget about you. We know, like, we're not going to forget. I was like, all right, cool. So it literally took like 2 weeks before they called me back, but they called me back for that job. Got the job. I was so excited. And the point that I want to make is sometimes rejection is the best. Now, once I got that job and they were paying me $20 an hour, I hated it. Like, I was miserable as hell there. But it worked out because that's the job I was at for 6 years. And because I was so miserable, I ended up starting my business. And here we are, a full-time entrepreneur. Imagine if I had got that endoscopy tech job and I loved being there. I would have never been pressed to leave. I would have never been pressed to start a business. So the point I'm making is, like, rejection always ends up being best, right? Now, working in the lab, they were paying me more, like way more. So, I did get used to making more money, but I was miserable. Like, I hated management. They hated me. It was an equal level of hate, but it pushed me to start a business. Imagine if I was comfortable there. Imagine if everything went the way it was supposed to go. I didn't hate the job. I was happy there. Then I would have never felt the need to figure out how I'm going to make more money. I would have never felt the need to look into entrepreneurship and figure out a way to start a business. And I wouldn't be here today at 35 years old working for myself. None of that would have happened, because if you're comfortable somewhere, if you're happy somewhere, there's no push to do anything because you are content. But because I was so miserable, because I was not content, I was forcing myself to figure out how to get out of this job because this is not for me. And I was there for 6 years. And so everything happens for a reason. And on my journey of entrepreneurship, I really self-developed, like just reflecting on who I used to be at 29 and who I am today at 35. Like, it's just a complete difference. So I quit that job right before I turned 30. So it was during COVID. I was already miserable as hell, there for 6 years, still broke as hell. And I was just like, I really don't want to retire here. Because I told you in the interview prior, she said that they prefer to hire people who are fresh out of college because most people retire from that department. And so, like, a couple years in, I was like, yo, I can't retire here. Like, retirement age is 65. So I got to be here for 40 plus more years. Oh, hell no. So I was like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't going to work for me. And so I was turning 30 in October, and they had shut everything down with COVID back in March of 2020, right? Yes, back in March 2020. So I was still 29. And I was like, I really don't want to take this job into the next decade. It's like I had an epiphany. I was like, I can't take this job and this misery and this toxicity into 30. Like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And so I had quit when was it? So they shut everything down in March of 2020. So I believe I quit in like April or May, and I just made a promise to myself, like, this job is not coming with me in my 30s. And it didn't. Like, I stood 10 toes down. It did not come with me in my 30s. I left. And since leaving, I have completely transformed my life. Like, one win after another. Every single thing that I said I wanted to do, I have done. Like, I said I wanted to lose weight. Back then, I was 340 pounds. Like, that job put so much stress on me. I was overeating. I got fat as hell. And I lost all that weight. I lost 100 pounds. I lost 100 pounds. That's damn near a whole person. And I lost it the old fashioned way on top of that, like just eating less and exercising. So reaching that goal, that weight loss goal, that already boosted my confidence. Starting a business boosted my confidence. Like, there's so many people who say they want to start a business, but they don't ever really start that business. It's just all talk. But I'm about that action. Like, I actually did it. And then a 6-figure business, like, what? So it's like every milestone that I said I wanted to do, I did. And on the journey of entrepreneurship and basically my entire 30s, because I'm 35 now, I've done nothing but reach the goals that I had for myself. So when I am quote unquote rejected, it doesn't bother me because I've built up so much social proof within myself that I am her. Like, I am the shit. Like, nobody or nothing is going to make me feel less than, because I have proven to myself time and time and time again that I'm amazing, right? But the only reason why I feel amazing about myself is because I stick to the promises that I make to myself. So if you're struggling with rejection, I need you to ask yourself, do you keep the promises that you make to yourself? Or are you someone that bails every time it's time to do for you, right? Because if you don't have goals that you're actively working on and accomplishing, rejection will hit harder. But that's because you haven't proven to yourself that you are amazing. If you know deep down inside that you are a great person, right? And you have proven that to yourself. If you know deep down inside that you are smart because you have proven that to yourself. If you know deep down inside you are beautiful because you have proven that to yourself, then it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks, because you know what you are. Confidence is who you think you are. So the problem is, a lot of times when we are insecure, we don't think we're beautiful. We don't think we look good. We don't think we're smart. We don't think we're amazing. And that's why you don't have confidence, because you don't think those things about yourself. But when you keep the promises that you make to yourself, and you show yourself, no matter how hard this goal I have is, and you're sticking to it, you're doing it even when you don't feel like it, and maybe you're not getting the results that you want, but you're still showing up, you are proving to yourself that you are her. And so it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter if you don't get the job, because you already know, like, well, F this job. Like, I'm cool. Like, if they don't want to hire me, I already know I'm going to get a better job. And so rejection doesn't hit hard, because you have proven to yourself how amazing you are, right? And like, if I was to look at myself in my early 20s, so like high school, college, rejection used to hit a lot harder for me. I was very insecure. So like, even if like, let's say maybe there was a guy that I liked, and, you know, I tried to talk to him and he didn't want to talk to me. So I would take that as rejection, and then I would feel like butthurt or embarrassed because he didn't want to talk to me. But that's because I didn't have enough social proof within myself to know that's his loss, like F him, right? But because I'm older, because I'm wiser, because I have proven to myself over and over again, I am the SHIT, I don't care if people don't want to be my friends. Like, that doesn't bother me anymore. So I want you guys, if you're struggling with rejection, first of all, understand it really is for the best. Like, I know sometimes you may not think that, but it really is for the best. If you were to think about people who you might have wanted to be friends with, and maybe the friendship didn't work out. Like, I've gone through friendship breakups in the past, and yeah, they suck. It hurts, especially if you've been friends with that person for a really, really, really long time, and y'all just kind of like fall out and it really can't be fixed. Yes, it hurts. But reflecting back with the friendship breakups that I've had, if I was to take a sneak peek and see what they got going on Facebook, it ain't shit. It It ain't shit. And yeah, sometimes people don't post things on Facebook, but these are people who do post on Facebook. They still post their whole life on Facebook, and they're still doing the same thing that they was doing way back when we used to be friends, however many years ago. Whereas look at my life. It is so much more elevated. I'm a lot smaller. I'm more successful. I look better. Like everything about my life has just elevated. So it really was for the best. They couldn't come into this chapter. They weren't going to be able to handle the growth. Like, because they are doing the same things, at least according to Facebook, right? So it's really not a loss. And I know in the moment it can feel like one. It can really hurt your feelings. It can really make you feel like the world is coming to an end. But I promise you, it really is for the best. You may not see it today. You may not see it 6 months from now, but give it a year, give it 5 years. You're going to reflect back and laugh at the fact that you were tripping in the first place. Back to that endoscopy job that I had applied to that was trying to only pay $13 an hour. Like the version of me who I am today at 35, like just thinking about it while making this video, like I'm literally laughing because I'm like, wow, I was sad about a job not wanting to pay me $13 an hour. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what am I going to do with $13 an hour? Like, let's be real. That's not even cover my rent. Like, let's just go ahead and be real. So it really does always work out for the best. But let me know what you ladies think. Leave a comment down in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay beautiful, ladies.